Hi, dear participants. We are starting our webinar, Facilitating Chartering Activities. My name is Svetlana, as probably many of you know, but if anyone else new has joined us, I'm Svetlana from Agile Practice, Luxoft Agile Practice, and I am working as Agile Coach at Luxoft, doing Agile transformations on projects, set up in Scrum, Kanban on projects, and also doing career coaching. I am also from time to time do webinars, and in order to get announcements on webinars, on new webinars from Agile Practice, from my side, you can join my LinkedIn, you can follow me on LinkedIn, and you will be getting in such a way the announcements about new webinars. The current webinar, Facilitating Chartering Activities, is a part of IC Agile Team Facilitation Training. It is here. And this set of webinars, the current webinar as well, provides you a possibility to get learning objectives covered from this webinar. You will be able then to activate your attendance code that I will provide to you at the end of the webinar and have the learning objectives covered from AC Agile training. This webinar provides you an opportunity to cover 2 learning objectives. The agenda for our today's webinar. First of all, we will explore Project Charter, what it is, who creates it, why it is necessary to create it, and when it should be created. Then we will get familiar with data structurizing and visualizing formats and World Café facilitation technique. So, Project Charter is a document. We will see in what way it can be created, what formats it can be created in, and what technique we can use to create this document. Then we will talk about Team Charter. It is a similar document as Project Charter, and again, we will see what it is, what kind of this document, who should create it, why and when, and how to use mind mapping to create Team Charter document. Then we will have question and answering session, and I see that some questions are coming even now. People are asking, is there audio available or should I call only to the phone? You should follow the instructions that provided you in registration link. So I don't know about the technical details, how you can connect, but if you follow the link, you can connect then to this session. I from time to time look at questions that are coming during the webinar, but it is a bit difficult to read the questions and to talk at one and the same time, so probably I will make some pauses during the webinar to answer your questions that are coming during the webinar. But then at the end of the webinar, we will have question answering session. I will also provide you materials for further reading and watching and attendance code. And also I will tell a few words about the next webinars. So, Project Charter. Project Charter is a document, it is a statement which describes project scope, objectives, participants. Also it describes roles and responsibilities of the project participants and outlines the main stakeholders and define the authority of project manager, what project manager can do on the project. It authorizes the project management role. By the way, I would like we test the sound because I forgot it to do at the beginning. Could you please write +1 into the questions tab to make sure that you hear me? That is good. Yeah, great. Thank you a lot for assistance. So, the Project Charter document encompasses information about project scope, objectives, project aims, project participants, and authorizes the project manager on the project. Who should create Project Charter? It is usually created by sponsors, by people who are budgeting the project. this person should present for sure when you're creating project charter, the sponsor, the main stakeholder or main stakeholders of the project. And also there should be management who will take part in the project accomplishment. You can now also invite the team, and actually in agile way, the team should also present on project chartering activities. But it depends what procedures you prefer to follow. So the main idea is to have the sponsor of the project on project chartering activities and management of the project. Why it is necessary to create such a document? Because it provides you information about the value of the project. And you can reference this document. Actually, it is a kind of contract. You can reference the document if you have some probably slight confrontations during the session, during the project accomplishment. You can then refer to this project charter document and see what information it have, what purposes are here in this document, what aims in this document, what participants are listed in this document. So it can be used as a reference. And it aligns your project strategy between all project stakeholders. So you all understand what this project is about and what value it brings to you and to sponsors. When? Usually, project charter is created at initiation phase of the project. But if you still don't have this document on the project, it is a good idea to create it even if you're already in the middle of the project. Then you can sync up and align your view on the project. There is nothing bad if you do it in the middle of the project, or even if you're moving to the end, but if you still don't have this document. Here, how this document look in general. It is the usual view of this document. So it contains some general information, project title, description, the date when it is prepared. It lists project objectives, some assumptions about what you assume by defining these objectives. It also provides some high-level scope description, project milestones, roles and responsibilities, members of the project listed here with some contacts of the member. Also resources that the project has, project risk and mitigation strategy for each risk, success management, how you will find out that the project is successful. It is good to define it at the beginning of the project and then measure your success in accordance with these success management parameters. Because if you don't know where you're moving or what is the project success means, how you will know that you get there. So you need to know where you're going to be able to define then that you already reached some destination. Also, this document contains some signatures of the people who participated in this document creation. So it is the general view of this document, how it can look like. I think it is quite useful on the project, and then this document can be distributed between project members, between team members, so everybody knows what is project objectives, assumptions, scope, the main milestones of the project, roles and responsibilities, success measurements, success parameters, project risks and resources. So I think this information can be useful for anybody who is engaged in the project. But when you're creating, it is the final document, it is the output of the session on project chartering activities. But when you're creating it, I can suggest you use something like this, because probably it is easier in such a visual way to get the information, to gather the information. And then, using first of all this project charter diagram. Then when you get this information, for instance, you can even make a workshop on it. You can have stickers with these categories like project charter, scope, time frame, people. You can put the stickers on the wall, on your walls in a conference room, and then come together to this wall and start working, start adding more information, more stickers about project scope, project mission, project vision, and create it first all together on a wall like a diagram. And then when the information is completely gathered, you can put it in this document, put your signatures on it, and create this project charter. There are lots of other diagrams that you can use on your project. And if you'd like to find more information on data visualization, on some numbers visualization, you can watch my webinar on data visualization tools and techniques. Here is the links for this webinar recording and presentation. So, coming back to project charter. This is the final document, and this is one more way how it can be visualized. What technique we can use to create such document? For instance, if you have lots of stakeholders of the project, lots of people who are interested in project success, maybe 20, maybe 30, maybe 40 people, I suggest you use home and away or World Cafe technique. There are two names of this technique, home and away and World Cafe. This technique is evolved from social events. When people come together to some cafe, sit on the tables, share their ideas about, for instance, some book or some movie, then discuss this book or the movie on the tables, on their tables where they're sitting, probably even writing down on the tablecloth some notes. Then they remain one host for each table, and all the rest of the table participants come to a new table while the host is remaining on the table. And the host is welcome a new group. So they're mixing around all the tables, remaining one person from the table to welcome a new group. And then a host tell all the ideas that the previous group generated to a new group. And then a new group enrich these ideas with their information. For instance, if it was about the movie or about the cinema, the group can provide their meanings on it. Then a new group came, and the host accumulating all these ideas and sharing it with newer and new participants, with the newcomers all the time. So we can use, I think, this technique for project chartering activities. We can, for instance, split the tables according to these groups. For instance, one of the table can get the project objective, topic and assumption. The other can get project scope and project milestones. The third table can get roles and responsibilities. The fourth table can get resources. The fifth, risks and success measurements. So each table can get its topic on project charter, then discuss it, what project scope we can have, write it down. Then this group go to a new table, for instance, where it was discussed project risks, and the host provide you information to a new group about project risks that were investigated by the previous group. And then you are mixing all around in such a way you are sharing your ideas, your views on each of these category, but in a more gamified way, in a more open and friendly atmosphere. And everybody is being heard in such a way. Everybody can listen someone else's ideas and share his or her own ideas. Then the hosts are accumulating all the ideas. The hosts are writing down all the ideas that everybody is telling, and, for instance, filling in such diagram. When all the diagram is filled in, Some ideas can be grouped because one group can bring the same ideas that were already discussed by the previous group. So when all ideas are grouped, then it can be transformed into such document. When the ideas are grouped and sorted out, then you can create using these ideas this document. What is good? That the atmosphere is friendly and people are open and people can share their ideas with one another, and there is less confrontations in such a way. And what is great about this technique is that everybody is on the same page. Every idea is heard by everybody and listened by everyone. Actually, this technique can be used for many other cases. So the purpose of this technique, like every facilitation technique can be used for different cases. You should remember that facilitation technique is like a container for some activity. Facilitation techniques is about the process, not the content. So it's like a room, for instance. You use one and the same room, for instance, for technical workshop with the developers, or you can use one and the same room for people from the business side to conduct some business training, or even you can use this room for employees' children to play some games. So some training room can be used for different kind of trainings and different kind of activities. The same way, like any facilitation technique can be used for different activities, can be facilitated with different activities. So World Cafe technique, or as it is also called home and away technique, can be used for collaborative dialogue, to connect diverse perspectives, for team building. It can be used for PBRs when you are discussing some implementation approaches of user stories. It can be used for plannings when you're discussing estimations of the user stories or critical paths for user stories. You can use this technique for retro, for any knowledge sharing session. For instance, if your business analysts came to the client side, had some discussions with business, and then came back to your team, and you need that they share their knowledge with all the team and discuss it with all the team, you can spread your business analysts and combine people in groups on the tables, and each business analyst is at a separate table, and people are coming around and sharing their ideas. And again, it can be used as team building activity to discuss some book, event, or movie. So one and the same activity can be used for different activities. There is some don't for this technique that you shouldn't do with this technique. If there are not too much people, if you have less than 10 or 8 people, probably this technique will not work very well. And if the people start moving chaotically within this technique, it can also become a problem, because people should move from table to table synchronously in parallel. You just say, okay, move, and people start moving and change the table. Then you provide, for instance, 5 or 10 minutes time box when people are discussing something on the table, and then you again say, as a facilitator, say move, and people move to a new table. So groups should move one by one to each table. It is the best practices of how to use this technique. How you should do this technique. You should clarify how to play this game. You should focus on this technique when you're facilitating using this technique. You should focus that no one is interrupted, that people are able to share their ideas. You should make sure that the hosts on each table are making some notes and remember what everybody is saying in order to share this information with a new group. So you should provide probably some stationery to the people so they will be able to take some notes. Then after this session, you can, in some other way, using some other technique, for instance, like creation of this diagram, you can gather this information into some visual format. You can gather the notes from each of the hosts and put it on a wall and share it with all the participants. That is all about Project Chatter. what it is the document about, how it can be represented, because it is the official view that you are seeing now of Project Charter. And it is like not official, but more visual view, how it can look like, how you can, in what way you can create it. And here is the technique with the help of which you can create such documents. So there is the final representation of you. There is also a more gamified format of this document, how it can be easily created. And there is a technique also with the help of which you can create such a document. Do you have any questions about Project Charter creation and Project Charter document in general? Okay, if there are no questions, we are going further, but if you have questions, you can write it, and I will read it aloud at the end and answer it at the end of the webinar or after the webinar in correspondence. So, the next document that we are going to have a look at our webinar is Team Charter. So, this document provides a common understanding of how the team runs its business, how the team creates some software or creates anything else that the team is engaged in. This charter can be also used as a discussion guide. The people can discuss the team composition, operations, and goals based on this document or during the creation of this document. So this document can be also used not only as a resulted document, but as the process of discussion. So who create charter document? Team members, because it is a team charter document, and sponsors or managers of the team. But the main component of creation of team charter is team, while at the project charter creation, the main people who should be on this session of project charter creation is sponsors. So, and for team charter, it is team members. Why to create such document? On one hand, this document helps team members to focus on their approach, where they are going, what is the purpose for this team creation, what operations this team can have, what this team will do on the project, what other roles are in the team. But on the other hand, this document can provide information about this team to some other people, to some third-party teams, to sponsors, to managers, so they know what is this team about, what composition of this team is there, what skills the people in this team have, what processes are in this team. So it provides this information. The information is provided for the team members as well while they are creating this document. And as a final document, it gives information to some third-party people who are interested in what this team is doing, what is the business of this team. When? Probably as you remember about team dynamic, we have 4 stages like team forming stage, team storming stage, team norming stage, and performing stage. It is best of all to create such document on forming stage, on the first stage, when the team is just being created, to align your responsibilities among team members, to align roles among team members, to identify the team purpose. But again, if you don't have such document already, if you didn't create this document at the beginning of your team, at a forming stage of your team, you can create it at any time. And what is really very important about this document, comparing it to the project charter, that you review this document on a regular basis, because the aims of the team can change, the composition of the team can change. Probably the roles and responsibilities can change, because someone can go to some training and learn new skills, and then you should identify that this person now has these skills and can do some other job. So you should review it on a regular basis, probably once per 4 or 5 sprints, or once per quarter, in order it was up to date and everybody understands what is your team about. So how this document looks like. Again, here is the formal view of this document. It contains purpose of the team, some background information about the team, information about the scope. Probably it will be a bit more detailed than in project charter. More information about team composition, members' roles, team empowerment. Empowerment means what not only duties but what authority the team have, what team can do, what team members are authorized to do. Team operations, it's like processes, what processes are in the team. What is the project requirements management processes team has, how the requirements can be changed on the project, how a new member can be included into the team. It also provides information about team performance assessment, how the performance of the team is measured. It is similar to success measurements from project charter document. It also has information about milestones and schedule. Again, signature page of the people who actually take part in this document creation, and approval. Who is actually requested this team creation? Who approved the existence of this team? And also approval gives a possibility to start this team. Again, this is the formal view. If you would like with your team, you can create it in such a way right away. But what I can suggest that first you can create it as a mind map. It is easier to view in such a way this document. So your team charter can have 4 main categories like schedule, members, processes, and deliverables. You can again put the stickers on a wall and create charter map, team charter map on a wall during submitting. I think it will take maybe 1 hour or 1 hour and a half for a team to create such document to understand what is our schedule, because what I saw on the projects that sometimes team members only knows the schedule for their upcoming or maybe 2 or 3 upcoming sprints, but they don't know information, that they don't have information about more further dates, about what will happen with their project, with their deliverables within half a year or within a year. So it is good to know some dates of the phases, dates of releases. It is also good to know by the team members the deliverables, the application, the marketing, the quality assurance, test plan. So actually what deliverables of the team encompasses, what modules it have. Maybe there is some documentation should be written on the project. What actually tests the team should have on the project, what quality assurance activity the team should have on the project. Also, what members are included into the team, what are business users, who is these people, what are sponsoring this project, who is providing the budget for the project, who is in delivery team, who is in Scrum team, because delivery is not always the Scrum team, or you don't have the Scrum, then you don't have the Scrum team. What is the managers on your project? Who are these people and what these people are doing? Because sometimes I see the situation when team members can't understand what the management is doing, and it can become a problem because managers has the authority to provide people some tasks, to ask them to do something, but people don't understand what actually the manager's responsibilities. And it is good to make it, to clear up it with the help of this document. And management can also take part in this team creation charter activity. Again, what processes you have on a project? Do you have retrospective meetings or maybe results review meetings, maybe requirements refinement meetings? It can be also pictured on such a view. And then, for instance, when you appear in your team, when some new person come to your team, you can just say him or her, please look at our team charter. Here it is, and you can get the main information about our team from this document. Again, it can look like this in a formal view, or it can look a bit informally. But if you would like certainly to put signatures, probably it is better to use this formal view. But anyway, if you create it in this way, I think you can put it in this document as well. For instance, if you are using a stickers and your wall for creation of team charter, then you can make a picture of it, just photo it and spread it among all project participants. This view of the document is created in mind map technique using mind map technique, and as well as World Cafe technique, mind map technique can be used for any kind creation of techniques. You can also create a mind map as it is described in this way, how to focus in the age of distraction. So it's just a format that can be used for different purposes. And there is also some other usages that can be used for mind mapping. You can use it for note-taking, you can use it for summarization, for brainstorming and collaboration, when you need to collect information. For project scope mind map, roadmap, for retrospective event, you can also use mind maps. For group meetings, for problem solving, you can define the problem at the center part of the image and then create some possible solutions over here. There is some something that you shouldn't do with this technique. For instance, for some people it is easier to use liner format. Liner format is when the things are listed one after another. Liner format is here. It is liner format creation. And for some people it can be much more easier to read and to create documents such kind. But for some people it can be easily to create document in mind mapping format. So as a facilitator, you can choose the formats for your team, what your team would like, in what format your team would like to create documents. It is not the fastest way to structure information, because probably the faster way is just write one item after another item. But this format of the document provides you the grouping. So you have the grouping over there right away. And you see the connection between the elements, which is also very important. And in such a way, the information is remembered better, because when we have connections in our mind, when we have some associations in our mind with the previous information, when new information is connected to the previously learned information, then it is easier for us to remember new information. So it is also a benefit of this technique. So you start with some center topic, like in our case, team charter. Then you use some images or symbols. Probably you can, if you are drawing very well, you can use it. You can also select keywords for each category. You can use multiple colors and line thickness, because according to some facilitators, to use just one color for all the document, for all the output of the meeting can be monotonous, because monocolor means monotonous. So you can use different colors to make it more in a gamified format, in a more fun format. And you keep the mind map clear by using radial hierarchy. So there is a hierarchy here, and it is in radial format. That is mostly all about team and project charters. But if you still think that it is quite difficult documents for you to create with your team as a facilitator, or is this too complex documents for you to create, you can use also this format. I like this diagram very much. I like this model very much. It is Dill's pyramid, or pyramid of neurological levels, as it is also called. And you can use this model in such a way that you, together with your team, for instance, you are Scrum Master, and you have a meeting with your team to define ground rules for your team. You can define what environment your team would like to work, what environment your team value. For instance, you value the environment when no one speaks phones aloud, mobile phones, when everybody is leaving the environment of the work to use your mobile phone for some third-party conversations. So you wouldn't like that people talk aloud in your environment. It can be one more room. Or you would like to open windows from time to time to get some fresh air into your environment. So on first level, you can have some ground rules about your environment. Then you can also have some ground rules about the team members' behavior. For instance, you value when developers, before passing the functionality to QAs, test this functionality by themselves. Do some initial testing by themselves. You value it a lot. Or you value when people commit the code to SVN every evening, or maybe even often, maybe even an hour. But once a day, for instance, you would like the code is committed to the SVN. So, and you value this behavior and you state it in ground rules. Here is also some information about competence. What you appreciate in your team. For instance, you appreciate people that are not only know, for instance, Java, but also have some skills in testing. For instance, can write auto tests, have competence, have skills of after tests creation. For instance, they know Selenium framework and can help QAs to do auto testing. So there is some information about the competence over here. Or you value people who try to develop their knowledge. For instance, the person knows Java very well, but go to some trainings for Oracle to increase his skills in databases. So you can also value such competence, and you can also write it in ground rules. Here can be also information about values, about beliefs in people. For instance, you believe as a team member of this team who are preparing such ground rules that direct and open communication is the best way to share the knowledge, that all information is open in your team and you can communicate it directly to anybody, even to your manager. If some problems there are on the project, they are not green shifted, but they are told directly to the manager that there are problems on the project, and you can value such behavior as well. Also, how identity is about self-identification, how these team members can call themselves, for instance, professionals. And what is the purpose of the team? Why you are all doing what you are doing on the project? Why you have such behavior, such competence, such values? Why you're professionals? For instance, to provide the software that brings some value to business users. So there should be also some purpose. You can stop your ground rules at any level. For instance, you can describe only environmental ground rules, or only behavior ground rules, or only competence, or just choose some other modules. For instance, you describe only values and only behavior. Write it down with your team and create in such a way kinda a team charter, but it can be in a more light format, more easy to use and easy to create format. So that is all about team chartering and project chartering activities. So once again, the documents can have such formal views or have less formal views. You can use different facilitation techniques, for instance, like mind mapping technique, to create the project or team charter. Or you can use even this Dils pyramid to create kind of team charter, but in a more light format. Do you have any questions about team or project charter creation, about the way of creation of these documents? Okay, good. If you have any questions, please write it. And what else is left? Recommended materials. Once again, the book that I highly recommend to you is a Sam Kainer book. Here is the author, the Kainer, and he is named Sam. And it is called Facilitation Guide for Participatory Decision Making. Here is the link to Amazon where you can read the description of this book. I can also recommend you all these materials that is listed over there. RetroMat is a great cookbook for retro facilitation. If you need a ready-made recipes for your retrospective, not even facilitation techniques, but a sets of facilitation techniques, a structured facilitation techniques for your retrospective, go to this site and there are lots of it. I can also recommend you to watch previous webinars on different facilitation topics if you are interested in facilitation. There are more information about facilitator mindset, power on visualization, about designing meetings for collaboration. You can also have a look at the webinar on product backlog refinement session, how to facilitate PBRs, how to facilitate so-called pre-planning meetings where you're discussing the requirements with your product owners or with your business analysts, how to facilitate it as a Scrum Master, for instance. There are also more available services of Agile practice. There is several trainings that Agile practice recommend you to join. And in order to join these trainings, please write me a note over here and I will add you to preliminary lists of participants of these trainings. By the way, if you participated in all this series of these webinars on facilitation, you actually already have half of learning objectives covered for this training, Agile Team Facilitation training. So this series of webinars covered half of learning objectives for this training. And you need to cover the rest of it on face-to-face training. And in order to participate in this training, you can drop me a line about your wishes that you would like to take part in this training and you are, for instance, from Krakow or you're from Sofia. And then we can prepare the schedule for these trainings for half a year ahead and I can visit your locations and provide you the rest of the learning objectives from this training. What is good, then this training, it is a 2 days training, but since you have already some information on this, actually the half of information, then this training for you will be only for 1 day and we can split this day into 2 days. I mean, you can participate 4 hours one day and 4 hours the other day. And in such a way, it is easier for your management to let you go from the project for half a day and not to spend the whole day on the training. So within 10 days, you will get the webinar materials, presentation video, and instruction how to activate attendance code.